right, and hello, welcome to what?
Your mic.
What's wrong with my mic?
It's got all kinds of fuzz coming out of it.
Okay, does it?
See, I don't hear that today. I've heard that before.
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Yeah, that's you. So screw you. You're just trying to mess with me. Yeah, you're messing with me. It's fine. Right in my intro. You got to screw with me right in my intro. So you get last now. The icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, the best of the best, Joe D'Ambrosia. Joe, good morning.
Group. It's nice to have the group all together.
UConn women's legend star basketball player, Western Connecticut State University head coach, Maria Conlon. Maria?
It's a great day to be a Husky.
And prospectpodcast.com. He's still going to keep putting that one up. And he's got events coming up April 11th and April 20 whatever and 18th. He's running events. Make sure you go to prospectpodcast.com.
I have an event the 12th and the 26th. So
there you go. The 12th and the 26th.
You got that completely wrong.
It was close. It is Coach Schumann, and he is ready to go. And we are going to talk some UConn basketball. Both our men's and women's program are in the Final Four. And the women are undefeated. The men, we will talk about a miracle shot, possibly the greatest shot in UConn history. And boy, was it an epic journey. And both games were phenomenal to watch. We watched the women, we watched the men, and I liked how it was actually together too, as well with the scheduling. But I guess we will start with the men. Joe, we had the Michigan State game first, and a lot of people had predicted Michigan State. That was going to be a tough matchup for them. They were able to pull that out. Caravan had one of his best games as well and came alive, took over. We knew it was going to be a tough physical affair. What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, first off, before I get into that, let me just straighten one thing out for all of you podcast fans and stuff. Maria and I were not rooting against the Huskies.
I know.
Let's just don't say anything. Let's just make that perfectly clear. Okay, we bleed blue, but we were just putting on our basketball hats and looking at the matchups. It's the same reason why we thought Duke would win. Okay, it's not any dislike of the program. Stop that bullshit. Okay, it's not true. It's not true. I don't want to hear it again. Okay, some moron on X called me Dumbrosio. Thank you for that, Mr. 15 followers.
Oh my God. All right. That's ridiculous.
That's fine. It's social media. But anyways, here's the Michigan State game. They tried to give it away. They led by 19.
63. Yeah, it was bad.
And Caravan and Caravan Maria just wouldn't let them lose. That was the simple thing in that game. They fought through. Demery wasn't at full strength. And the Michigan State game, they did what they had to do to win to get to Sunday. I mean, that's the best way to put it. I mean, unfortunately now the Michigan State game is like a distant memory because all I think anybody wants to talk about, and basically all we should talk about after this is the Duke game.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I thought Michigan State played really bad in the first 10 to 12 minutes, and I think we needed every second of that bad 10 to 12 minutes to survive that game because they did not play really good defense in the beginning. They could not buy a basket. Their offense was out of flow. And to Joe's point, I think we just, we got a great lead in the beginning. Like he said, it slipped away and we did what we had to do down the stretch to solidify it. It is what it is. But I mean, you turn back time, I think if you take away even 5 of those 10 to 12 minutes, I'm not sure that we win that game, but that doesn't matter. We did. Who cares? Let's move on.
Joe, I just have 2 questions for you. One, was this team typical of a Tom Izzo Michigan State team? Because they definitely seemed off for what he normally has.
No, I don't think they were his. Put it this way, they weren't his best team. But the one thing you know about Tom Izzo teams,
Yeah,
they're always going to compete. They're always going to be fundamentally sound. Some years the ball doesn't go in the hoop. State, it wasn't a great Michigan State team, but it was physical. You know, those two big bangers in the middle, which is something UConn's going to see on Saturday night, and potentially if they win Saturday on Monday night.
right.
It was a good Michigan State team, Steve. It wasn't a great Michigan State team.
And then how nervous do you think everyone collectively was when Terrace Reed went to the line for those 2 free throws at the end of the game?
Well, I mean, he's not a great free throw shooter. What is he?
No,
like
he's not.
% or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's
But
he's
you know,
awful.
we've seen, and Maria can vouch for this on the women's side too, for all the games that she's watched. You know, sometimes the stats don't mean anything when you get to the late stages of the game. You've got 80% shooters who can cough it up, and you've got 57% shooters who look like they're Rick Barry and Steph Curry.
Right.
I mean, listen, Terrace Reed has been awesome all tournament.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have won the first. We would have been home in the first round if it wasn't for Terrace Reed. And honestly, I don't think we would have came back in the Duke game without Terrace Reed. He looks like a guy, and I mean, listen, he's had a great year. We've talked about him constantly. We're only a good team when he's on the floor. In my opinion, we've been saying that all year. If he's in foul trouble, we're in the danger zone. If he's on the floor for 30, 32 minutes, we can win basketball games. And I think he did a good job the last 2 games of keeping himself on the floor for long extended periods. I think Reba showed in the Michigan State game that he's just not ready for that level of physicality.
Time, yeah.
You know, which is why we saw Terrace play 33 minutes, I think, against Duke.
Yeah.
But he looks like a guy that's like super focused, probably super focused on his draft level. And I thought he actually went to the line looking cool as a cucumber in that game.
I mean, did too.
Yeah, from a statistical standpoint, yes, if you just look at that. But if you look at the game in its entirety, he was cold as ice, like cold as ice, meaning not that he was off, but like cold as ice in everything that he did with confidence and certainty. So I wasn't shocked at all. Was I a little nervous? Yeah, I think anyone who says that they weren't nervous he was going to miss those free throws is crazy. But
they're not telling the truth. That's for
sure. You know, what do they call those Monday morning quarterback shows?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're great at. Yeah. Dave, what were your thoughts on Michigan State and everything that went down there?
I think I'm going to echo what Maria said. Reed has been a man possessed in this tournament. It was one of the, and he had games where he played possessed during the season too. Like you saw flashes of it. In the Big East tournament, he had some incredible games, but he's so strong and powerful, and when he can run, run the floor well. Like when he decides he wants to take over, I mean, he really has the capability to take over the game against pretty much anybody inside. So he's shown, even against St. John's with their great player, I forgot his name, but Ejiofor. Like Ejiofor had all he could handle when he would go against Reed. So I think he's been a huge catalyst. Caravan, really, me and Maria talked about it a little bit before the show. We were just on the phone, and he really, his experience, and all the years of playing obviously on great teams, making his own mistakes over the years. I mean, he was so cool. Now I'm talking about the Duke game, but like that pass was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I think he's a rock. Like when he is that rock, like he stabilizes the whole team. He's the stabilizer for that team, and then I think that allows guys like Sola Ball, who's played well, in the stretch here. You know, obviously Silas he's had some injuries, but he played well in the last game. I think that those things are to me, and Hurley has a huge part to do with this. I really do. I really think that his style and the players that are with him, because obviously you wouldn't be going to UConn if you didn't buy into his style, right? It just gets a lot out of them down the stretch. You know what I mean? And I just think there are times when the players are struggling. It's almost like he's trying to will them to fight through it.
He feels it.
And he's a unique coach from that aspect. Like, there's very few coaches. A lot of coaches would like to be able to help will their teams to do things. He's one of those unique coaches that really can like get into the soul of his team and push them through difficult parts. You know, it could lose like anybody else, but he gets them to do it at times that are incredible. And you know, they're confident. They're confident when they need to be. I mean, forget the Michigan State game because I'm already past that. Like, that Duke game, man, like, the game was like lost.
You know,
I mean,
it was
early on. Like, it looked like it was going to be a blowout, you know? And I think that they fought through a lot of difficulties there. I was very impressed. And you know, and I was not, you know, after the Big East, I really just wasn't super confident that was going to be the case. But he has done it time and time again with his teams. You know, it's pretty incredible. The players obviously deserve the credit for making the plays. They're the only ones that can actually make the plays. You could will them all you want, they still got to do it, and they did do it. And I mean, it was incredible. I mean, Mullins, you know, I mean, making that shot, it's probably the greatest shot that I've ever seen in men's basketball. I'm trying to think back, like when Leitner beat Duke, that was a great shot, but didn't have the sequence of events that happened. Like, it was just a throw down, Leitner out physicaled and got a shot off, right? Like, this was like a play where Silas.
It's a broken down play. I don't think I've ever seen a broken down play of that magnitude.
Right, exactly.
You know, and like, listen, Mullins, balls of an elephant, obviously, to step up and take that shot.
I love it with your name.
And like I said this to Shu off air, and I don't think there's not as many people talking about this aspect of it that I think they should. There was two contrasting things towards the end. Everybody's talking about, you know, why didn't they just hold the ball? Why didn't they this? Why didn't they that? You're talking about freshmen who've never been in this position before, having to make those decisions. So this whole Duke bring 5 first-team All-Americans in for a year, hope that they get everything right with no experience of ever being there before and win a national championship is really hard to do. Caravan not shooting that on the catch was a smart veteran move. That actually, to me, was bigger than the actual shot itself, because I think most people in that position are shooting that first shot, not necessarily aware of clock management, not necessarily aware of angles and other pockets of when somebody's got a cleaner look. You know, Mullins is going to get all the glory for that. But Alex Caravan not taking that shot and passing it to the open Mullins, and both of them were combined, I think they were like 1 for 13.
Yeah.
Up to that point.
That was Mullins' first 3.
Was remarkable. And, you know, Demery, again, nobody's going to talk about it as much because the shot is so going to overshine it. His 2 corner threes, like back to back at the end there, were enormous to keep them in the game enough to be in that position. And then, like, Joe, you know this, right? Like, the amount of things that had to fall perfectly in place
to get to that point.
For that to happen.
And from that standpoint too, and when you watch the video of the shot, which we've all watched 1,000 times by now.
Yeah. At least.
The Duke kid, there was a Duke kid who was 5 feet away from Mullins and didn't even move towards him or raise his hands. He just let him he just let him shoot the shot, I mean, everybody wants to put the blame on Caden Boozer. And yeah, he made a mistake. He should have bounced passed around. I heard somebody say, or just actually, he could have just gone like this, like it was a volleyball play, and go over his head with it, because there was nobody down there. But the Duke kid who stood there and let Mullins shoot. Now, look, it's a 37-foot shot, but the form that he showed was the same that he shows when he takes a 15-footer. The kid's form is impeccable.
Joe, that's not that hard of a shot for kids at that level that people think.
I'm
not saying it's an easy shot, but it's not like we're hurling it from three-quarter court.
Right, exactly.
Off balance. The kid's setting his feet. It actually, that was probably one of the best looks he had all game.
Right. He set his feet so well. Yeah. And he followed through. He's able to follow through.
Yeah, and he has such a quick release, too. Our friend Chris D is here, and he said he's still on. No, he said he's still on cloud 9, and it happened all so fast, and it was a miracle. That's what he said. Nothing negative. But Joe, going back to the first half, Duke came out like a ball of fury, and they took the lead early on. We turned the ball over. We couldn't buy a basket. What do you think was the biggest issue we had offensively?
Duke's really good. Here's the biggest issue. Duke's really good. It doesn't have to be any. We were getting good looks. They just weren't going in. Duke's really, Duke's really good. I mean, everybody wants to make light of Coach Shire, and yes, they've had 2 consecutive brutal meltdowns in the postseason. But Duke's really good. I mean, as Maria said, all those high school All-Americans. But it doesn't mean that they can all play together. And even 37 games into the season, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a good mix. Look, Duke did what we thought what Maria and I thought. They were bigger. They were tougher. They were stronger. Yeah. I mean, look, Maria and I were texting during the game. I mean, Cameron Boozer was abusing Caravan inside, just abusing him.
Yeah.
Right.
Joe,
and then he would take him outside to hit a 3.
To that point,
Caravan and Mullins.
So the biggest adjustment that I saw Hurley make late in the game that, again, I don't hear like a ton of people talking about, is they actually put Reed on Boozer.
Yes, they put Reed on Boozer.
Caravan off, and that changed the game because he was not able to get as deep into his spots, and Reed caused that really huge turnover at the top of the key.
Right.
That we ended up coming down and scoring on.
But he dunked on. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do it sooner. Maybe it was just to preserve Reed and his body long term for the game. But I really felt like that one adjustment in the last 4.5 minutes when they switched Reed on Boozer and took Caravan off really, really opened it up and changed it. Duke could not get as much going. So kudos to Hurley and his staff for that adjustment. I was kind of screaming it all game, why is Caravan on this guy? He's manhandling him.
Yeah.
But maybe there was a method to the madness. I don't know if Reed could have guarded him for 33 minutes and still been able to do what he could on the offensive end.
And not fouled as well.
But, the 3.5-4 minutes that he did guard him, I thought he did a phenomenal job, and it changed the game.
Dave, I mean, the Maria Brain, the X's and O's. Dave, the first half, 44-25. Everyone watching it, we were just kind of shocked and disenchanted, I would say. How were you feeling after the first half? Did you think it was over, or did you think that we had a shot of coming back?
I think she was hungry because it was around 6 o'clock. That's how I think she was feeling.
I was watching. I didn't watch until after. I didn't watch any of it until after because I was at a tournament.
To the event, right.
So I really watched a lot of it in retrospect, knowing already what happened because everybody told me what I was getting called while I was at the event. I was telling Maria, my family was calling me, "Did you see it?" I'm like, I was standing there getting scores from a 7-on-7 tournament. So, but when I did watch it after. I was watching it after already knowing what happened was interesting. It was actually almost more mind blowing that they're able to come back,
right?
Because you're hopeful. If you're in the moment, you're hopeful. But or maybe you're hopeless and then you get hopeful. But watching it after, like, just logically watching it, it's incredible how poorly they were playing. So and how they were able to that's what's I think the great thing about this team. Like, there are times you're like, is this team even good? And then they roll. Like, they don't, their mentality and the fact that the game is never lost in the way that they approach their playing style is incredible. It really, really is incredible. Like, they just fought possession by possession,
Chipping away
one
at the lead.
possession at a time. It still looked like they were never going to get there, even though they were fighting back. It still seemed like I mean, literally, like, obviously, but that ending play was just really the capper on what they methodically did the second half.
Only lead they had in the game, I believe, was right at the end.
I think the most important part of the game was the last minute, other than the ending, was the ending of the first half when they got within 15.
That's
gave
what I was going to say.
A little feel-good feeling into the locker room, because they were dead in the they were dead in the water before that.
Yeah, I got it to 15 before the half, and then
what about Shire? Does Shire take any blame for this?
Oh, he's taking some blame, I would say.
Yeah, I'm saying this is the second year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, but again, I think, like, to my point earlier, listen, it's hard, even if you have a veteran team.
Yeah.
To make it to the Final Four and win a national championship is really, really, really hard.
Look at the Fab Five.
You've got freshmen doing it. So, is it his fault that he keeps losing kids to the NBA draft and then reloading with all these studs? I mean, from a tactical standpoint, it's funny. I even saw a video where a couple days before the game, he actually showed them an NBA clip of, I forget the guy's name, but basically almost the same situation that they were just in. And the player from the NBA threw the ball up into the air about, as high as he could.
Right.
And it ran the timeout. And he was basically teaching them, like, hey, this is what you do in late game situations.
In those situations.
And then ironically, you're in the same situation and you throw it into Demery's hands. But I had said to Joe through text during the game, like at halftime.
Yeah.
I think I said something along the lines like, the only way that they can win this or get back in this is if they cut this like in half by the 10-minute mark. In the first 5 minutes of the second half are crucial, which I thought they did a good job of, like, keeping it between 11 and 15 for the first 5 minutes, not letting it get to like 25, 28 very quickly. Right. And then they were able to chip back into it.
Yeah. Joe, I mean,
I wanted to say one quick thing. The only thing I've ever seen in a scramble situation like that was like the two things I've seen that was like that. One was the I wasn't alive when this happened, but I've seen the clip a million times. The Boston Celtics, when Havlicek steals the ball, okay, and then the second one is when Reggie Miller beat the Knicks
when he scored the 8 points in like 10 seconds or whatever it was.
Yes, in like 30 seconds or whatever it was. Yeah. That's the only, and I actually think that this is even more incredible because those guys were pros. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those guys were pros, right? Making those plays. They're super crafty. They're super smart. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to point that out. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
No, Joe, I just wanted to say, I know Maria pointed out one of the adjustments that Hurley made at the end of the game. What else do you think defensively that Hurley did in the second half? Any adjustments, any changes that he may have made that helped with the comeback? Because we only held Duke. We held Duke to 28 points in the second half, which is remarkable.
A lot of it was just their poor shooting. I think Maria hit the nail on the head with the Reed and the Cameron Boozer thing. But they were getting crushed by Caden Boozer in the first half.
Yeah,
and they just started playing better defense on him. And I think I might be dead wrong on this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I think when you've got a younger team like that and you get a big lead, you kind of think we can just coast to a win. And they didn't. and they didn't step. We talked about this with UConn all season long, how UConn wouldn't step on the neck of the opposition.
Yeah. And finish
and
games.
teams make comebacks on 'em. Well, that's exactly what Duke did. Duke had the lead.
Yeah.
It's hard to blow a 19-point lead. 15 at the half. They're the first number 1 seed to ever lead by 15 at the half and lose a game in the tournament. So I think it was just I don't think other than the Reed changing of assignments, I don't think they did anything particularly
Different.
earth-shattering defensively to change things along. I think Duke Duke makes those same shots they made in the first half. This is a entirely different conversation we're having at this point.
Yeah, I thought the only other thing I saw that was a little bit different in the second half versus the first from an adjustment standpoint. I won't even call it an adjustment. I think Hurley probably just went nuts on them at halftime about it. Is when the Boozer boys or when Caden was getting some of those high screens, the high hedge to force him further out was not as hard in the first half as it was in the second.
Right.
And I also found that sometimes we would hedge too hard in the first half, too long, and they were getting the slip for easy buckets to Cam Boozer, who was getting some easy lays around the hoop. I thought we did a much better job of showing hard and then getting back faster in the second half than we did in the first. So,
yes,
those easy buckets right in the lane on the slips and dives after the high ball screen, they didn't get as much of that in the second half as they did on the first. Again, I don't know if that was necessarily a complete adjustment. I'm sure that that's probably what they were supposed to do. And maybe at halftime it was it being someone who's been on that side of it of guys, this is how I told you to guard it and you're not doing it. And this is why we're getting beat. I'm sure Hurley was like, what are we supposed to be doing here? You can't hedge all the way out to half court and leave Boozer fly into the lane.
Right.
Which was happening a lot in the
time.
first half. So I thought they did a good job of hedging hard, pushing him out, but then getting back way faster to the diver.
And Joe, I mean, this was my opinion. I thought the minutes that Ross and Stewart got in, they both play phenomenal defensively. They're both better. No, you didn't
not
think
Stewart. I'm not going to get the guy who played great off the bench in that game was our guy Malachi Smith.
Malachi
Smith has had a great tournament.
Yes, he did.
On Malachi Smith, I saw a really very, very unintelligent Duke fan post that we should have gotten teed up because Malachi Smith ran on the court, and I'm like,
it wasn't a Duke fan, Maria.
Who was it?
It was not a Duke fan. No. It was their radio play-by-play dork.
Even worse.
David Shoemate.
I heard it after
even worse. I'm like, he was on the court. What do you mean? He's part of the play.
David Shoemate's call will live in infamy as one of the worst calls in play-by-play history for saying that.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
That was bad. I was like, what?
Joe told me about that on Monday, and I went and listened to it. I was blown away by it. That
guy should be fired immediately.
But that's typical. Look, we could say this is a UConn podcast. That's typical Duke bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
That's typical Duke. That's typical. You wonder why people hate Duke?
The elitists.
It's because of crap like that.
Crybabies.
That's exactly what my mother said.
Duke crybabies. That's what I call them. Duke crybabies.
What did you think there, Dave? I mean, I off the bench, I thought they played a little bit better, or at least Ross did.
Yeah, Ross has been great all tournament, but the problem was he didn't give you anything offensively.
No, he wasn't. He didn't hit anything offensively. But I thought the defense was important to help get back in the game. But that the other thing is, the
guy who's played very well has become who's really gotten a lot better is Malachi.
I'm old enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's risen.
Malachi has improved tremendously, and I think when he comes in, he does not really look to score, so he really looks to work the ball around to the other guys and get them in a good position. And I think it's really served the purpose. We saw a lot of it in the Big East tournament, but I thought at the time, I'm like, that could be very valuable because it's one guy who really is not at all. I mean, he'll score if he has to, but he's not looking to score. He's looking to put other guys in good position. So I thought that would be valuable, and he's very energetic player.
He's explosive. Yeah,
He's an energetic player. So, so I thought he improved tremendously because early in the year I didn't think he was really very good.
No,
but he's looked really good. Like again, that might be, obviously he's a talented player. He's at UConn, but coaching wise, he's getting him to play. He's helped him to find what his role is on this team, and he's really got him to embrace it. Like I think he's done a great job down the stretch. So, I mean, that's the one guy to me. Ross is an athlete; like he could do a lot of things athletically on the court. That's valuable, but that was something to me that stood out. I was curious. I shot in the text. I didn't really get any of the reactions that I wanted from my text. So I'm going to ask it here. I thought the referee, this is a completely different take than the whole entire internet, by the way. It's just because everyone's a UConn hater because we won. But I thought that, why is the referee going towards Hurley?
Because he's telling them they're going to go to the clock to make a review.
Oh, he was. Oh, okay.
They just had to check the time.
That's why they put.
And if you notice, they added a tenth of a second. That's all he was doing. He was doing his job.
Oh, now that makes sense. Because
do you think then that okay? So that made a lot of sense because I didn't see the clip in any other fashion into what it looks like. He's going towards Hurley. Hurley goes and meets him, right?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay. My second question is, everyone was like, that should have been a tech, right? I think the official handled it correctly in the moment because it was an excitable moment. I actually think that he handled it.
Look at him. He glared. He just.
Well, he touched him though. He touched him. That's the issue.
I don't believe there was contact.
Oh, there was.
There was contact. Watch it closer. There's contact.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he's not doing anything malicious. He's not doing anything malicious.
Okay.
But there is contact. There is contact.
Okay.
100% there's contact.
I didn't know that.
I thought the official handled it very well, though maybe he was just so shocked. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But
and Roger Ayers is one of the better officials, and he's not one of the officials assigned to the Final Four. So you can make your own. You can make, and James Breeding is. And if UConn gets James Breeding again after getting him 11 times this season, then there's something up. Because that's the one guy, and I've told you my story with James Breeding, who I like, but who I had an incident with at West Virginia. That's the one guy who Coach Hurley really has a buck of being his bonnet on. But no, I mean, look, as far as the whole thing is concerned, was there anything malicious there? No.
No.
Should Dan have gotten that close to him? No. But he's not going to call it tech. Now, it wasn't. Let's also be honest. It wasn't a Bobo Brazil headbutt either. Okay?
Bobo
they just
Brazil.
touched heads. They got that, Steve. That was for you.
He gave me a pro wrestling reference.
That was for you.
He did what me and my son used to do back in the day. It would be like, let's put our heads together and see if we can come up with something good. That's what he basically did. Put his head together with that guy.
All right. So, Joe, this is not a Steve Cully question. This is
Herb. Is it Herb?
It's his father's question. Yes.
Hello, Herb.
He absolutely loves Reed. He thinks Reed is a dominant force. He doesn't think they go to him enough. He is curious because we have so many offensive weapons. Reed has been carrying the load. And is he capable of being that first offensive threat and carrying the load all the way through the two games in the Final Four still?
Well,
I think he's shown that.
A very good once again, Herbert, an outstanding question. An outstanding question.
Of course it is.
Here's my thought. We're playing pretty big teams.
Don't put that up.
the next 3 games.
Yes.
Okay. So, but he's got to be. The offense runs better for him because Maria. The one thing that we've underestimated, I think, on Reed all year, for a big dude, he's a really good passer. That
Yes.
pass, that low-to-low pass he made to Caravan for Caravan's first bucket was delicious.
He's got
That
great
was
vision.
really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would run the offense through Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's like he kept saying
think he
Reed's
has
the
a
only one
slight-
carrying him.
I think we have a slight edge in the paint versus Illinois, and I think Illinois has a slight edge on the perimeter against us. They want to score a lot of points. If they hit a lot of threes, it'll be a tough game. But I'm calling UConn 71, Illinois 68.
Yeah.
Wow. Already
Well,
making a prediction, and we've still got 18 minutes to go.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the women, so
I just thought defensively we
Good
have
point.
played phenomenal throughout. So
Here's the thing I'll say, and yes, we got to get to the women.
Yeah.
Is that throw out the first game that they played in Madison
Sure.
Square Garden.
yes.
Reed was coming off injury. Mullins was coming off injury. The Wexler kid wasn't what he's become. So that game really means nothing. Illinois' offense is ranked first in the Ken Palm ratings. I don't give a hoot about that crap. Okay, I think that's like UConn. I did a lot of research for the show last night, unlike normal. You know where UConn stands nationally among 361 teams as far as scoring off the bench is concerned? Anybody want to guess?
We're near the bottom, aren't we?
301st.
Yeah. That's
So guys got to
saw that.
stay on the floor. Guys can't get in
Yes.
foul trouble. I'm with Maria. I think it's a close game. I think UConn wins by maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think UConn wins as well. Oh, thank you. There you go, Dave. Good one. Yeah, I think UConn is going to win that as well. Man, when something like that happens, I think it is showing destiny. I think beating Duke was the toughest challenge, other than if they face Arizona in the final.
No, don't sleep on Michigan.
Michigan's good too.
I think
Don't-
Michigan's going to beat.
Didn't we beat
Arizona.
Michigan? Or I'm thinking of the
No.
women. The women beat Michigan.
Michigan's the only one we haven't
Michigan
played.
beating Arizona. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
I
be
do.
Michigan, UConn in the final.
I do, because I had Michigan going to the final 2 originally.
That's what I had, and I'll win my bracket if I get that. But so
We're happy for you, Steve.
So you are predicting UConn and Michigan. Michigan's going to beat Arizona.
Yep.
Dave,
Yeah, I think so. They're really good. Really, really good.
Dave,
I think that's a toss-up game, Michigan and Arizona. In my bracket, I picked Arizona, so I'm just going to go with them
yeah.
to give me a chance to not be last in my bracket.
All right. Well, we are thrilled, and obviously, Joe, you
Do we get to pick UConn, or that's just a not? That's just a given.
If you don't
Yeah.
want to pick UConn, pick Illinois.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
right
picking
ahead.
UConn. I'm back to being a believer.
Yeah, and we all agree that the Mullins shot was easily the best shot in UConn history. It'll go down in the annals of UConn history as the best ever.
In that situation, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. And
I mean,
I'm
listen,
prejudiced.
the Tate George shot really put UConn on the map.
On the
back
map,
in the day.
correct.
They're two different
Looking at
shots.
significance, you know.
I mean, all of these, people always ask me, because I've been here for 100 years, what do you rank? Well, I'll give you, and that doesn't even count a couple of the women's shots, Bird at the buzzer or Diana against Tennessee.
Diana against Tennessee,
on
yes.
the snowy day. But I'll give you 5, and we don't have to rank them. The Mullins shot, Tate shot, Kemba shot, Rip shot against Washington, and Ray's shot against Georgetown. Or you know what? Even better than Ray's shot, the Jalen Adams shot against Cincinnati.
I forgot about Kemba's shot. That was an amazing
Kemba's shot was huge, yeah.
Not as big of a stage, though.
No, that was the Big East tournament.
You know what was the most amazing sequence? It was just like a Reggie Miller sequence. Okafor against Duke was just when he took over the game and the last 2 minutes of the game. I mean, that was just we were down 10. I think we were down 10.
Was
Or
that
down
the
eight.
game
Eight.
No.
he got
Another
pulled
two-
in the first
yeah.
half?
Boy, what a surprise.
Was that the game he got pulled in the first half because he got the 2 fouls early?
Well, he got pulled and Jim sat him on the bench because he always did that.
Yes,
Krzyzewski
yes.
played his big guy, got a third foul. And
Correct.
then all of his guys fouled out, and Emeka,
Right.
as you said,
Took over.
dominated that last part of that game. So, all right, on to the women. Let's talk about the
All right,
unbeaten.
so the women, they are, like I said, a freight train right now. They beat Notre Dame and they beat North Carolina. And, you guys both said defense has been their forte. I mean, they can score on offense, but they focus on playing great defense. They haven't had a team score over 60 points the entire tournament. They've held teams in the 40s, in the 50s, and I think that's what's made the difference. And the pregame show, they praised Hannah Hidalgo up and down, and I know that she deserves it. She averages 25 points a game. But Joe and Maria, I thought UConn had a great game plan coming in to stop her. She still had 22 points, but it was on 7 of 19 shooting. And then no other Duke player scored in double digits. So
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I mean,
Notre Dame, yes.
I think what UConn, honestly, the easiest way to stop Hannah Hidalgo is don't turn the ball over. She scores a lot of points
Yes,
on
steals.
her steals and in transition. I thought we did a really good job of taking care of the ball. I mean, listen, I thought, let me go on mute here. My stupid dog.
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking, because to have her score 22 points and the next highest score was 8 shows that defensively they take pride. And I thought KK Arnold was phenomenal. I mean, I say she's the Energizer bunny out there defensively. It's not always going to show up on the stat sheet, but I thought she played phenomenal defense when she guarded Hidalgo. Maria?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think in the half court, yes, she did a good job of denying her and making it hard for her to get the ball. I thought help side defense was really good once she got a little bit downhill. Yeah. But Hidalgo really thrives in transition. So I think the key was just to not let her, get out on the break and get going. And I mean, listen, she still did her thing and whatnot. But and I think for us, like, we didn't shoot well versus North Carolina or Duke. No. I know Coach made some comments about the new hoops and the new rims, but
wait a minute, North Carolina, you got Cully disease.
The basketball.
North Carolina, Notre Dame. What are we doing here?
All right,
that's what I said.
You said Duke.
No, I said North Carolina.
No, North Carolina and Duke is what you said.
Oh, geez, yeah, he's confusing me now. I didn't think we shot well at all in the Elite Eight, right?
Okay.
And then we're in the Sweet 16. I'm anticipating we'll shoot better this weekend. I mean, all 4 number ones are going, which I had predicted. And
yes, I did too.
I think the scary part right now is that I think Texas is playing like scary level basketball right now. I've watched every single one of their games. I think it's highly likely we would see them in a national championship game, assuming all goes well against South Carolina, as long as their bigs can stay out of foul trouble against UCLA. I think of the 3 teams that we could see this weekend, I think I'm most nervous about Texas. And I said that early on in the season, but they've got every role covered. And if their kids stay out of foul trouble and Booker gets going, I think they pose some unique matchups for us. I'm not as nervous about a UCLA matchup, although, because El Haffey came in and played some great minutes against.
I thought she did too. I was so happy to see her come in, and she got 7 minutes, 4 points, 4 boards.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that South Carolina is playing really well too. I mean, they've just steamrolled everybody through the tournament to get to this point. Obviously, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder after last year. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really, really, really interesting Final Four. I still like us. But I guess if I had to if I had to put money on it, which I can't in Connecticut because it's a Connecticut team, I would say UConn, Texas in the national championship, and I think UConn wins a close game there.
Joe,
I think they're all pretty. I think UConn's the best of the 4 teams, but I think the difference between 1 and 4 ain't that big.
No,
So
it's really not. For the first time, Joe, in a really long time, I feel that way.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there were 3 blowouts in the Final Four. I think UCLA, Texas will be a close game, and I'm with you, Maria. I think Texas is
what are you trying to do,
be the team that UConn faces. I think South Carolina is going to, as you said, is going to have a chip on their shoulder, but I think UConn will get by them. And then look, I got to be honest, I think UConn Texas could be a toss-up.
Yeah. Joe, really? I wanted to ask against Notre Dame.
Okay, I was working that day, so I'm not the person to ask on
Maria,
that.
Against Notre Dame, Blanca comes off the bench.
Awesome.
And she is the spark that gets the offense going. She scores 20 points. She's a lot bigger too than I anticipated. I mean, she's big, she's physical, she can shoot from the outside. I mean, she's like, I don't know, I'm asking, is her offensive game like Sarah Strong's?
Well, I mean, let's not get crazy here.
Okay. I just thought because of I
mean, listen, she's a 3-level scorer. She can score on all 3 levels.
Thanks,
she can't do it with the ease that Sarah Strong can. She's not as good of a passer.
Right.
The kid can defend, though. I'll give her that. Yeah. I thought that the Notre Dame game was the first game where I felt like she was back to pre-injury Blanca from that middle of the season gap there that she was out.
Yeah.
So I felt like that was really positive.
She had the tape on her shoulder.
She gave some great minutes off the bench. I think
30
for me,
minutes.
Like I think the scary part again going into like these next 2 games, and again, this is me. I'm not talking as an alum or bleed bluer for a second, but which obviously you guys know that I am, and anybody who thinks Joe and I are not UConn fans is nuts, like we said earlier. But we definitely have a couple of like KK's not a scorer.
No.
Right? We know that.
Nope.
She's going to score in transition off steals. She's going to play phenomenal defense, but she's not a 3-level scorer, guys, right? Ashlyn Shade, in my opinion, has not played great. I think that she gets trigger happy sometimes.
Yes.
It's almost like I'd rather her like first shot not go in, because then I feel like she just catches and like she had 2 pull-ups on the break. Like, you're not Sue Bird. Pass the ball. Like, let's get all the way downhill. I didn't love the way she played.
I didn't either.
So that's another one that's really struggled to score. Obviously Williams has struggled to score a little bit in the paint against a couple of matchups. So you're putting a lot on AZ, who did not shoot well the last 2 games. And then, and Sarah. And then you got Blanca coming off the bench. So I think we're going to need more offense from people in these next 2 games to come away with it, because I think that the teams that we're playing against have a lot of options offensively and still dig in pretty well defensively. Like, these next 3 teams play defense.
No, they do for sure. But I mean, I was so impressed with Blanca. I've only seen her play a few times. And then I was also impressed with Kayla coming off the bench. I thought she gave good minutes and was productive. I mean, she had 6 points. And then, Jana Al-Alfi for, being a starter last year, and now she's in a backup role. She makes the most of her minutes. I mean, I thought she came in. She only played 7 minutes. She played tough defense. She scored 4 points and had 4 rebounds. And I thought that was pretty productive. But I totally agree with you. And Joe, I'll ask Maria. This is another question from my father. So I'm not taking any responsibility for it. He wanted to know why he didn't think AZ shot enough from 3-point land or was aggressive enough offensively. Did you feel that way, or did you just feel she was cold? because she only attempted, I think, 1 3.
Go ahead, Maria.
Who are we talking about specifically here?
AZ. He doesn't think AZ shot enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen, like everybody knows that she can shoot, right? I that didn't bother me as much as it was like halftime, and I think Sarah had only taken 3 shots, but
Right, that's the one that got me.
because you can get her in many different aspects of the offense, inside, outside, mid range. But with AZ, I think that they kind of they're going to dial in on her and they're going to force her off. If you want to beat us, you're going to chase her off the 3-point line. Right. I mean, listen, she's got a great pull-up jumper, but it's still only 2 points versus 3, right? When she gets going behind the 3-point line, we become much, much harder to beat, 100%, because it opens up the paint for Sarah when you got to extend out further on her. So I think you're going to see that in the next 2 games. I think you're going to see people chase her off the 3-point line consistently. They're going to make her make 2s instead of 3s. And with some of that, I think as we get further and further along, you're going to see teams say, hey, listen, we're going to zero in on these 2 kids. The rest of you guys have to beat us.
Right.
So totally agree with that. I think that's totally going to be the case.
Yeah.
If there is 2 games, are definitely on Friday night. They're not, and they've got South Carolina. The thing about these teams we're going to see, they've all got pretty good size. They've got agile bigs. I'm not talking the Betts girl, but UCL, but Texas and South Carolina have bigs who can move. So it's going to be incumbent on Shade, and it's going to be incumbent on Blanca and Sarah Williams and KK and K9 and Ali Zabel and Jenna. Although I think you don't expect scoring from her, I think they're going to have to help carry the load offensively, because you're not going to get. I'd be surprised if you get like a 50-point combined effort from AZ and Sarah, just because the way that they're going to get played.
Yeah. And Maria, I mean, defensively, like against South Carolina, are we capable of holding them to 60 points and under like we've been doing? Or is it going to be like a 70 or 80-point game, you think?
Are we capable? Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't. I mean, the last 2 games, have we even scored over 70? I can't even remember.
Yes, we have.
What were the scores for us the last 2 games?
70 to 52 against Notre Dame, and then it was 63-42 against UCLA.
So right at 70. I mean, I think
98-45 against Syracuse.
Okay, well, we're not counting that.
Yeah, we're not talking minor leagues. We're talking major leagues.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I think we got to be in the mid 70s against South Carolina. That's just me personally.
That's really.
So yeah, I mean, I think can we hold them under 60?
I mean, yeah, like
they're having a really bad shooting night.
Right.
But South Carolina is going to get after us on both sides of the ball. They're not going to settle for outside shots, as we know. They're going to pressure our guards, and I think they're going to, like I said, I think they're going to chase AZ off the 3-point line.
Yeah, Dawn Staley will have a plan.
I don't think they're going to stop Sarah. Like, I've been saying this all year. Like, I think you got to just let her do her thing and hope that you can contain the others. Because I just don't. I think putting too much stock in trying to shut down Sarah Strong is a waste of time and effort.
Yeah.
Dave, what are your thoughts on the women's Final Four, the 2 games? South Carolina, and then after that?
I would say that like some of the early struggles, at least at the Notre Dame game, I'm not even really concerned about it. Like, they just figure things out. To me, they're the best team. They have the best player in the country, and they have maybe multiple definitely best coaching,
best staff,
many multiple players that would be player of the year candidates if they were, let's say, on some other teams. Right?
Sarah Williams was the Big Ten Player of the Year last year.
So that's my point. What I thought was really impressive in the North Carolina game was they forced 24 turnovers in that game.
That's what I'm saying. Defensively,
was just so when they struggled, I think a little bit early shooting in that game. their defense is so good that even if it takes them a little time to come alive, the defense holds everything in check. Obviously, Sarah Strong. Anytime once she starts to get her shots, forget it. It's lights out, dude. It's lights
I think
out.
on the turnovers though, Shu, like the only thing that we got to remember and like, listen,
Yeah.
I'm just calling it how it is.
You're being objective.
Notre Dame and North Carolina's guards are nowhere. They're not even close to the guards and the control that we're going to see with South Carolina and then potentially UCLA or Texas. Like Texas has a great point guard. They have a great off-ball guard. You know, UCLA has Kiki Rice, who's not going to make a ton of mistakes with the ball. So I think that's like, it only tells half the story because those guards, even though it's the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, those are not elite guards that can compete against UConn. I think we're going to see a totally different story this weekend.
This is a whole different level of competition.
It is. It is.
In my opinion.
I agree.
It's a whole. You're not playing Butler or Xavier or Creighton,
Right?
Or any of those Big East teams. You're playing the other three teams. This is legitimately. You might not say this for the men's tournament, but for the women's, you can certainly say the best 4 teams got there.
100%.
And that's a whole different level. You know, we all want to talk about how things are getting closer parity-wise in the women's game. Well, maybe from 5 to 30 they are. They ain't from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
Because these teams barely have had a break a sweat. I mean, really, the toughest half anybody had was UConn's first half against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Seriously, everybody else just blew teams out of the water. So
UCLA Duke. UCLA.
Yeah,
Duke.
that's true.
UCLA was down 10 against Duke.
Yep, that's true. I forgot that. But these are elite teams coached by outstanding coaches who have the same goals that UConn have. I don't think this is the cakewalk that everybody in Connecticut thinks it's going to be.
No. We're spoiled, as I wrote. We're spoiled sometimes. It's
That was great, Maria. Fact check Joe.
I wrote a blog on Husky Hub about the women's team.
The reason why I know that, Shu, is because I think there's on the women's side, Duke versus UConn is not really as big of a rivalry as it is on the men's side,
Right.
but nothing pleases me more than every year being able to say Kara Lawson still doesn't have a national championship. So I've watched that intensely because guess what? She never got one versus me.
Wow.
And I had to guard her for years and watch her scream into cameras and act like a tough guy. But guess what? Still don't have a ring.
I love the competitive.
That's
Let's go.
Chris D, read my blogging before you laugh at it. I blog great. I am the best blogger.
I'm going to give Steve credit. One thing I found that Steve does incredibly well, he actually writes incredibly well.
Yes. There you go. And Christy did agree with you. Sooner or later, some of these other starters like Shade and Williams need to step up their scoring this week, especially against Texas. If we end up facing them, they're going to zero in on AZ. And he agrees totally on Shade. She's way too trigger happy. And he says that my blogging is making him laugh his ass off.
And then I still have distaste for head coach Kara Lawson. Yes,
good.
Christy, let me tell you why. And I've never in my life
I hated her as a broadcaster.
seen a coach who's never won anything as a coach use every opportunity in the media to try to create a mic drop moment for like a book deal. Like, enough.
Really?
Done with it. Oh yeah. If you go to all her her stuff, she said the other day she said I wake up intense. Great, cool. You're going to go to bed very calmly tonight.
I wake up intense. Okay.
No one cares.
I got a question about Husky Hub.
I wake up intense.
Hey, Schumann.
Yeah.
Is Cully's stuff under free, premium, or pro?
Oh, it's free. You just go to community blogs and it should be right there. I wrote 2 blogs.
I think it's under his name too. I think your name.
Yeah, it's
gets
listed.
tagged.
My name comes up. And I got to put our baseball blog under there too.
Joe, we'd love to have you put a blog up there once in a while.
I'm sure he'll love doing that.
I would do that. I would do that
Oh.
for sure. So, Cully, where
good.
is your? How do I find you, Cully? I want to
So-
inform all the millions of viewers.
If you go to Husky Hub,
Joe, drink
I'm
some
not
bourbon
ready.
first. Drink
gotta
some
go to
bourbon
community.
before you go on that blog.
up top it says community,
Yeah, I got
and
to
then-
that.
and then the blog is the first one down.
Yeah, I know.
Click on that,
I did.
and then my two blogs are down. Scroll down.
Yeah,
to the
because there's
second
been
level.
because I've got a system of getting blogs up there now.
Joe, yeah, Dave replaced mine.
No, I didn't replace you. Just
no, no.
push down. There's newer
Yeah,
blogs.
I'm on the second level. I wrote one about the men's basketball team, and I wrote one about the women's team.
Huskies head to Indy. Is that yours?
No, keep scrolling down. It's
All the
Epic
way at the
moment?
bottom. That's where Dave put him.
the level below that. Yeah,
An epic moment.
that one's mine, and then the UConn women's
Maria, I got a
basketball
system.
is
I'm rolling. I have blogs that roll out every day on each sport.
Yeah, so we're putting out
Cully,
content.
this is quite a beginning. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Where did you come up with?
I didn't
I
write that.
told you to drink a bourbon
I
first,
didn't, I
Joe.
didn't write. That's from the. Is that
I
from?
might
A
need
Tale of Two
I might
Cities?
need a couple.
Is that from A Tale of Two Cities? No,
Yeah.
listen. I thought they
That might
weren't
be
bad.
from A Tale of Two Cities, actually.
It's from A Tale of Two Cities. I used to.
I
read.
have to jump on this other.
No, we're going.
We're
No, no,
just-
you can close. You
I
can
think
close
now
it.
that we're dissecting Cully's blogging, I think that's the official end of the show.
All right. Well, predictions next weekend. Next week when we do the show, are we coming back with two national champions?
No.
Yes.
Championships.
No.
Yes.
One. I'm going
No.
to say one. I don't know which one, but I don't
Okay.
think both.
All right.
We're off on years. It's 2004, 2014. We missed 2024 already.
Put it this way: for the millions of people who have done this, let's just hope they both get to the national championship game. So
Yes.
Elliot from Jordan's Furniture is paying out gazillions dollars.
Love it. Love it.
All right. For
Joe
Coach
wants his
Schumann
recliner paid for. Let's go.
and prospectpodcast.com and the best of the best, the icon, legendary voice of the Huskies, Joe D, UConn women's star, legend, movie star, Western Connecticut State University head coach Maria Conlon. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back at Chris D.